welcome to Non-Perishable Goods Podcast. Thank you for being here.
Another day, another dollar.
Another day, another crazy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me right now? Oh
There's just so
man. I mean,
much.
it's crazy because every time we end our sessions or our episodes, something crazy happens, and it's like you and I have been going back and forth, obviously, since Thursday. And you prefaced it on the last show, that you probably felt like he was going to step down. Um,
And it happens. Like, what? Like, really? This is where we are, America?
I know it's very monumental. I mean, in a lot of ways, in a lot of negative and positive ways. I think we all knew from a competency standpoint. It's like I've told you I don't vote on the lesser of two evils. It's just hard, and I think that there's a lot of things that he took care of, obviously, and I just
And
what
wait,
I am.
real
Go ahead.
quick.
Go
Like
ahead.
when like I've been seeing that statement everywhere for years, actually, the lesser of two evils.
Yeah,
But
it's always
I
been there.
mean, is government evil? I mean, they're what they're trying to get across in either agenda. I mean, some things are evil, but some things it's not necessarily evil. Like, why do people think it's evil? You know what I
I
mean?
think that when you have a rendition of certain biblical readings, it is a part of evil, because we are supposed to live solely on what the word is, what the scripture is, what we're getting in the church, things like that. So some people have that belief, and then they live their lives that way. What the last, like, I would say since Obama left, I think what I've gotten out of all of this is a lot of people have a redundancy of really bad comprehension, and it's redundant everywhere, like listening comprehension, visual comprehension, reading comprehension. Like, it's just a very low level comprehensive state that we're in our world, right? Like, and again, like, I'm not a Rhodes Scholar. I'm educated, and I'm very versed on a lot of different subjects and things like that, but it blows my mind how bad, like, somebody could read that the sky is blue and they read it, and then they would, turn around and say it's red. It's just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
understand what you're seeing or what you're reading. And for me, I guess you can break it down even on more of a personal level. It's like people that you've grown up with, people that have shared meals or shared space or spent the night in your home and or around your kids. Like, I mean, I don't ever want to judge anybody based on their political beliefs. It's just really hard when somebody says they like somebody that's a complete just douchebag. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think people are more convicted by their what they believe than what is actually fact. You
For
know?
sure. That's an everyday occurrence, right? Like, a lot of people base their decision making off of the emotional piece, not the comprehensive and component of just being like common sense laden. Like, they don't do that. So it's like, when we get that message, and I think I sent it to you. I think you already probably knew, but when I got it, because I got it pretty fast, via AP News on my phone, and then I sent it to you, and it's like I I expected it. I expected
Oh,
maybe
Biden leaving. I was
that.
asleep. I was asleep. So I didn't you were the first one of the first people to tell me.
I think what I got from it is okay. So what's the play? And I obviously more in tune to the news now than I ever have been, just because we're doing this, and it's been good and not good sometimes because obviously my algorithm gets fucking just jacked up completely.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
are people
overwhelming.
well, there's people that I've always kind of gotten the left and the right news from, or information, or op-ed. I would just say more op-ed pieces from these people, because that's what a lot of these people are, just civilians who have taken a liking to a specific party or a specific legislation and things like that. And so I try to listen to them more neutral, being neutral about everything and just listening, and then trying to do some research, and then just trying to get the facts.
You know what's crazy? Wait, real quick. I was like, dude, I've been watching C-SPAN for like the last, I don't know, for a while now, but it's like my go-to. Like
That's
I
good.
want to hear it. Like before it even goes to like articles, I like to watch like the actual thing that's happening so I can make my own inferences of what has happened or what will come of this or what that person's position is versus like a spin. Like I watched C-SPAN last night, 4 hours. Like I'm like, what is my life coming to? But I actually enjoy it because I cut out, I get it from the horse's mouth. I guess that's what you said, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and if that's what you're convicted to do, then definitely be convicted to do it, right?
I'm a
Like,
nerd. I'm like a full-blown nerd now.
I'm a nerd about a lot of different things. Obviously, when it comes to baseball, I'm a complete nerd and I delve in very deep on all of that kind of stuff. I think one of the more important pieces that we have to really realize is that um, what is the power play of the Democratic Party, right? Like, I honestly, I think I said it last week. I thought that if they were to pivot, that Pelosi's godson or grandson would be the guy,
Oh,
and
Newsom? Yeah.
I think he's more power playing for 28 more than 24. Um, I think it's only right that they kind of do this, and I think the play is a strategic long game type play. It's a short term and a long term kind of play, considering you know what's been taken away from like women and rights and different things like that in the last 16 months or so. I think the overall fracture within just civilians and government, I don't know. I mean, again, people come out in troves. I think that a lot of people are trying to get that 60 million or so that you said that don't, or 60% that don't vote. They're trying to get those people to vote. And
And clearly they sparked something because there's a lot more energy now that they made that move. Like the Biden, they had to make that move. Like me and my friend, we had a conversation. They were like, well, he's going to be like, if they get rid of him, he'll be, well, it's like a shot in the foot. And I was like, well, it's a shot in the head if we keep him in there because he's not getting any support from corporate, the donations, the donors, the delegates, all that funding was cut off.
Mhm.
And that's what
Gotta
people,
remember too, like, I mean, with a guy like that, if he's not purely competent to do his job and to be that guy, then this is kind of the realm that you get and kind of the situation that is presented to you. I
yeah.
think it's really important to note that, like, I don't think he's done a bad job. I just think he's old. Like, that's a hard thing to say and do, but that's just the fact, right? And
He said he was a one-term president. He was gonna be a one-term president, but he knew that the presidency was gonna age him, and he wasn't gonna be able to do
it
it.
did, and it did it in a way where it's like, ooh, I mean, he has literally gotten older while he's in office. And again, I thought, after Obama's second term, you started to see the deterioration in the facial structure, hair,
Hair.
kind of just really looking tired. Obviously now he looks like he did when he was first getting elected right now because of that stress. And I can only imagine what that is. And I think any political office holds a level of stress and holds a level of responsibility. I just don't understand what the vetting process is. Like, maybe it's something we can do later on or closer towards the election. Like, what are these vetting processes that we actually get these candidates to be in Congress, Senate, Supreme Court, president, VPs, cabinet members, press secretaries, all these things? Because it's like, I feel honestly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is just my opinion, and you can feel some type of way about it, but I feel like we fucking live in a reality show.
Yeah,
I
no,
said
we
in the
absolutely
text, I was like,
do.
this is America season 2024 on Tubi. I saw that meme. Like, it's like a fucking Tubi movie. And it's
Ugh.
just that bad. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't, and I can't for the life of me comprehend it, because if there's an assassination attempt on someone, right, of this stature, like, 3 days later, I'm not having Hulk Hogan on stage ripping off his shirt. And
That,
that's the one thing I wanted to tell you is like,
yeah,
I said that at the last show or 2 shows ago. I was like, this shit feels like a WWE production. And then 3 days later, I got the most famous WWE wrestler ever
yeah,
on stage. Like, I don't understand how people are going to want to listen to Kanye's ex boo thing, who was never married with, and she's a porn star now, and we're listening to her on a national convention stage. Like, what kind of fucking credentials are we running on? I don't want to hear from that fucking person. Just being honest.
yeah.
I don't anything to hear from that chick at all.
Yeah,
Like,
the Republican Party it's a show. It's a clown show. I mean, the people that are running it, whoever thought those were great ideas as his campaign director, like that just tells you really what we're dealing with. But his people, his cult, they think it's cool. Like they think it's like awesome.
so fucking
But
bad.
that just shows like we're like living in two completely or three or four
Well, we're
completely
living
different
in different
worlds.
realms. Like, I feel like it's realms. Like, I'm gonna have to go back when I get off the road. I got to get back on the road again tomorrow. But when I get back from the road in the next 2, 3 weeks, I just really have to, like, one, desensitize my algorithm and figure out a way to do that, because there's things that come up that I just don't care about and see. Like, I get a lot of my information via Twitter, because Twitter for me, it's like I can just hit a hashtag or no, and then it gives me whatever I need to get, and I can get that news or that information from there. But I mean, the state of things that we're currently in, I mean,
Yeah. But I
political politics aside, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, I was on Twitter, or I've been on Twitter more lately, and
Kind of have to be.
yeah, it's real time, it's quick, it's a lot of different opinions that are being thrown out into the world because it is a free platform. Like there's not much censorship over there anymore. And
Well,
so,
and Elon did that on purpose, right?
right,
And
yeah, absolutely.
even with kind of what he tweets out or posts or says, it's like, all right, bro, like, we kind of, I know who you are, like, it's fine. But I just don't like the feel that I get from a lot of this, right? And then now you mix in, this lady, Sonia, just gets murked in her house, after asking for help. And I can't help but I'm still not desensitized or even remotely wrap my head around George Floyd still and these types of events. And I'm a black man, and you're a black woman. And so these are the things that people don't understand living while black, right? Like living as a black person in this country, where I call for help, and I don't know if I should call for help or not. It's like, these are the things that I had to teach my kids, during that time, about traffic stops, about being out in public past a certain time, making sure you're very mindful of who you're around, or what your surroundings are, what kind of clubs you're going to go to, what kind of bars are you going to go to, where your eating establishments are at. Like, it's just so prevalent. And now,
Yeah,
and
well,
go ahead.
yeah, because everything is case by case. I mean, with cops, like we need cops, we need law enforcement. Like there's a lot of crazy people out here. But as common sense, like legislation they could put forth right now is all these cops, because that guy who shot Sonia, he has a bad record. Like
Yeah, I
he,
don't even know how he's a cop.
you know what I'm saying? So every person that or every cop that has been in these types of situations that have come to the forefront have these types of records. And if the commissioners or a separate entity, internal affairs or whoever investigated these people that have these records, you could probably get rid of these situations, but they're not putting in forth that effort to get rid of these people. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna happen. It's gonna continue to happen. And now, even with Project 2025, like what scares me the most about Project 2025 is that they're giving police officers immunity. So situations like this are going to happen regardless. Like they're going to be able to shoot to kill at will and will not be prosecuted for it. So it's like going to the next level on on so many, different avenues. And it's like as much as we try to prepare and wear the right clothes and prepare our children for this situation and that situation, like there are things that our government can do to keep us safe. And that, and those things would be to
And
target these cops that have bad records.
it's a head scratcher for me because it's like I want to be as compliant with law enforcement whenever I have to. I have family that's been in law enforcement forever. And so it's not like I'm sitting here going to the policeman's ball or giving and donating a bunch of money towards, certain entities of that. I just feel like at some point something's got to give because like that was very hard to see,
Yeah,
right?
he's a
Like
nut.
I don't want to see it. Like no, I don't think anybody wants to see it because it's reality. This is not a movie. Like this is somebody's life. Like they're in her house. Like what the fuck is going on with the fact that you can't correspondently have conflict resolution, feel safe about that conflict resolution, just have a conversation with this individual, whether she's mental or not, or if you're feeling a certain type of way, why are your guns being drawn? Like there was no
Yeah.
weapons in the
Why
house.
was
Like
she in why did she even invite them in the house though? Like that's the part that I don't understand. Why did she go from calling for help for a trespasser or whatever, and then now they're like investigating her? I mean, I guess because they saw that she was a little erratic, but why? I mean, I don't understand how things escalated. Like if they were concerned about something, I mean, why didn't he call for more backup? Why didn't he step out? He just did not de-escalate the situation whatsoever.
saying, but
There's a lot of things he could have done.
fucking police tactical practices that we all know. Like we don't have to be like involved in the room about what they're supposed to do. Nothing was done correctly. And it's like
But see,
that
that shows
adds
that that's on that
layers to
cop.
the bullshit. Yeah, I know, but it just shows there's just so many layers to this bullshit. It's like, dude, it's really hard.
And
It's
I don't
really
even see what he got scared about. Like like she didn't throw the water. She just said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
people that are afraid of melanin skin. That's just, I don't give a fuck if anybody unfollows me when they hear that, but there's a lot of people in this world that are afraid of melanin skin, whether it's from a female or a male. And it's
That's
because
crazy.
we come from an ancestry of being kings and queens, and this is who we are. And again, I've always said like the black man. I've posted it on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram in the past. It's like we are the most copied and emulated individuals on the face of this earth with whatever we do, whether it's sports, entertainment, clothing,
Linguistics.
yeah, just speaking languages. Like we've created our own linguistics, right? We've created avenues for others to then take part in. Um, but we're the most scrutinized at the same time. So like really, where's the love? Like so when I hear somebody like, man, where's the love? It's like, yeah, there really isn't. Like, I mean, there's love to you in a capacity that as long as they're not you, there's love there, but they'll emulate you, they'll be you, or they're gonna be afraid of you. So like it's really hard because I deal with it as a coach, right? I'll give you an example. I deal with it with officials. So a lot of officials have problems with one, I'm boisterous as a coach. I talk, I'm loud, but it's never derogatory. It's never derogatory to our opponents, and I try not to be derogatory towards the officials. But when they're incompetent about doing their job, when they're not doing their jobs to the best of their ability, they're not running to a spot, putting themselves in a position to call a safer out call, or they don't understand a rule, but I know the rule and I'm saying the rule verbatim, like that you have this wrong. And it's hard because now we're in a disagreement, right? In a heated moment that is less than 3.5 minutes long.
Hmm.
Most of the disputes happen that are less than 3.5 minutes long, but I see the cowering, I see the peacocking per se by the people that I'm dealing with on an official standpoint. So I can have a level head or choose to have anger and be kind of like, puff up my chest and really get upset about things. What I've noticed is the more I've gotten out of it is I've just been killing them with honey and sugar all summer. right? So like I've been able to get my point across, but I haven't been doing it in the same tone or manner that I was once doing it in. And
Mhm.
it's funny because half the time they come up to you after the it's all said and done and they don't, let's say they don't overturn the call or don't give me what I'm asking for, or even if they do, they'll come up at the end and it's like, I appreciate how you articulated yourself or how you came up to me and handled that. And it's like, fuck, man, like I see worse from others that are not me, but like I'm held to a completely higher standard and then they expect the lowest of the low, but I'm going to try and be up here with what I'm doing and how I'm articulating myself, and then it kind of shocks the shit out of them, right? So it's like that's really a lot of times what you're up against, and it's that video for me. I've watched it twice, just twice, because I don't think I can watch it a third time. It's just really hard to comprehend, right? It's like, okay, at what point just normalcy, right? Like, can we figure out how to have a conversation with a black man or a black woman and not it being guns being drawn out?
Yeah, I think they just don't. I mean, some I do believe are fearful, but I think some of them just don't even want to take the time to even like, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just going to shoot you. Like, I really think that's where they're coming from, and I'll deal with everything later. Because watching the video, he wasn't, every move he made no sense. Like,
That's
he
what I'm saying.
almost wanted to just kill her. Like, it was like he just went in there to kill her.
Yeah, it was just like an open thing to do.
You
And
know what
again,
I'm
I think
saying?
that these things,
Because, like, really, as a man, like these tough guys out here, these alpha guys, these Republican guys, whatever, just a lot of men in general, like, you're you're scared of a woman? She was so frail. It's so light. Like, really? You're fearful of a woman, a person of color? Like, that's what gave you fear? Like, I don't think so. I think they just wanted to kill her. And I'm not saying all cops are like this. I'm just saying that particular cop was like that. And even the people on his team, they seem like they were like, where's the gun? And he was like, there was no gun. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, what were you scared of, you dumbass? You know what I mean? Like, he was out of line. He was completely out of line. And it's just not gonna
yeah, but
make sense.
like, and this is the thing that sucks too, is like, you teach your kids. I teach my kids. You're guilty by association. You hang around dogs, you're going to get fleas. So
Mhm.
now his partner, the guy you hear him on camera, you hear him throughout this whole thing. He's in complete disarray and shock and all. Like, what the fuck did you just do? Why did you pull the trigger? Like, what's going on? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't see anything. Like, what the like? And now his job's on the line because of this fucking idiot, right?
Yeah.
So it's like he may be in it for all the right reasons to protect, serve, and be a community servant and be subservient to others. And now he's going to be on trial. Now he's going to be on administrative leave. Now it's this bigger entanglement thing. And we'll never really truly get down to the bottom of it because at the end of the day, like the American consumer of the milk, the mass media is now we're just concerned about what they're going to get in fucking court for the monies because she's already dead. So she's gone and it's a loss of life. And I don't know if she has kids or family members, whatever it may be. But she also obviously had a home, obviously had some sort of income, obviously had a life. Like, and it's the value of life for me that I lose my shit on. Like, it's
Yeah.
really, really difficult to like watch as
Yeah.
a black man, as a dad. Like, it's hard to watch. It's hard to see that that could have been my aunt, that could have been my grandmother,
Any
right?
of
Like,
us. Yeah.
and
At
so
any
like
time.
I don't know if people of other cultures and races feel that way about their everyday life. But it is something I can tell you that it is something I have to think about all the time. And
Yeah.
it's more times than not, especially in the areas that I one travel to, two, the profession I'm in, I'm dealing with it quite often. And more times than not, like we joke about it and especially with our kids, right? Like we're trying to make sure that they're multifaceted, multicultural driven, very diverse and in non-inclusive situations that they're going to experience in life, especially going to college, right? And college experience is a lot different than it was 25 years ago for you and I. My son, the majority of his college classes are done online. So he's not roaming campus and dealing with, other groups or, you know, frats and sororities and just the stuff we dealt with, right? Just on a normal college campus, he's not dealing with. And so it's like, for me, it's like, God damn, dude, like my kids are kind of in a bubble and I worry about them, even as an adult, they're adults, 23 and 21. I still worry about them with conflict resolution type things because they're
Yeah, they're
never
still
really been
young.
put in conflict, right? And so that's really what I see even at the top, right? And I always say like it starts at the top and then it trickles down to the bottom. It's like if we have incompetent people in hierarchy type offices that speak to others on stage in a public forum, like that thing I sent you where and I know it's edited, definitely edited, but how is it that it's edited to a point where it's verbatim fucking Legally Blonde's fucking
Oh,
speech?
that video, yeah,
And
that
that
was.
shit was fucking. I was like, what the fuck? Like I
Dude, they're known for taking people's speeches. Melania copied all of Michelle's speech, so why wouldn't their incompetent speechwriter, whoever that may be, wouldn't
you're
take?
the fucking president of the United States,
They're a joke. They do not care. Like
or the
he's
president. It's just
he doesn't care. He just thinks this is funny. Like there's some people out in this world who just are really just going through life doing whatever they want. And they're just, oh,
that's
hey,
the
you
truth.
catch me on it, oh well,
That's the
but most
truth.
likely
And
I'll
there's
get
a
off
lot
of
of
it.
people like that. And it's kind of sad because it's like you in no way, shape, or form should be that person, right? And like we both err on the side of trying to make sure each individual we come into contact with is somewhat formidable. Not I got over this a while ago. Like I'm not going to learn something from everyone. You can if you really want to break it down, but you go stir crazy trying to do it. But like there's more people that I'm not ever trying to be or be like than the latter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's there's not great examples in our daily walk. And I don't know how this happened. I don't know. I really don't know. I thought like when we were
Checks and
raised,
balances don't exist anymore. That's why I was
the
asking
what?
checks and balances in the vetting process of a lot
Oh,
of shit. Like, I mean, I talk about it to our parents all the time, and I think one of the things that can correlate with just the world right now is like what I do for a living. Right? There's not a ton of qualified people that can coach. There's not a lot of
people
ton
just
of
don't
people.
care. People aren't working at their craft. People aren't putting in effort in anything, in relationships, in their career, and just like, ah, man, I'm trying to tell you, like, I really, I don't know how this happened. Like it just deteriorated over time. Like
I think it
our parents'
deteriorated very
generation,
quickly from
they
20.
were about hard work and excellence.
And it's hard because like there's so many things now, and I talk about it all the time to parents, right? And I feel like this correlates, like this athletic endeavor that my kids are on, right? The kids that I coach, my son, his peers, those kids, and even new kids that are going to now come in after tryouts this past weekend. Um, Baseball for me is a very microcosm of life, right? And it's built on failure, where a game that you're playing is a game. And that was one of the things I was talking about the other day with some of my high school aged kids was, do you guys realize you're playing a game? Like I know we take it very seriously. I get caught up in it all the time. Like where this shit is life. Like I'm like, gotta win this game. We just won a national title yesterday, which is great. So shout out to my 17-year-old national team. They just did their thing out in Arizona, and but like that's the goal, right? Is to win, and the goal is because when you win, you get accolades. When you win, you get scholarships. So if you're not winning, you're not being seen. Like nobody gives a fuck if you're losing. Nobody cares if you have the three best players in the world and they're losing. Like people give a fuck about you when you're winning. And we
Are
live
we
in a
surface? Is that the problem? Like, are we too shallow? Did we
we
not?
are shallow. We're shallow now, but this is what I was getting to is it's starting to trickle down into the lower levels of all of this where we have a lot of fickle ass people at 9, 10, and 11 years old. Like, why the fuck do you have Instagram? Why the fuck do you have you're thinking you need to build a brand at 10, 11 years old? Like your brand doesn't mean shit to me. Like I'm not going to go out and buy a pair of batting gloves because of this 11-year-old is 6 foot and can hit a ball, 350 feet. Congrats. But I want to see you do that at 16, 17, and 18. I don't care about 11. But because everybody's so entrenched with the now, like in the present and those results, because we have all of those things via the phone, via the apps, via the searches. Like I can say, "Hey Siri, fucking tell me what the weather is." Like she's gonna do it right.
Convenience. I think
It,
convenience is taking
it's made
away.
us lazy because
Yeah.
there's so many people that now that don't know how to do their own thinking for themselves.
They're being influenced.
Fuck yeah, but that's why
Dang.
these influencers are what they are. Like we can go to your Instagram right now. I would test anybody that's listening, right? That's gonna listen to this. Go to your Instagram right now, and your first, your next 10 posts, 3 of them aren't gonna be people you're following. They're influencers on there. 10. There'll be 3 out of 10, right? Like in those stats in baseball, you're actually a superstar. But that's how they get you. It's like I'm
Yeah.
erring on the side of like deleting a lot of those types of people because it's like cool, congrats, like you know how to cook. I do too. I'm just not fucking showing you how to make scrambled eggs. Like I cook all the time. I don't feel like
Well, that's the
it,
thing.
it's confidence too, right? We're dealing with a lot of people who have low self-esteem and low confidence where
It's
they need to be,
followers.
yeah, they're not
There's
leaders.
no leaders. And then, my whole thing with TikTok when it first started coming out, all the copycat dances and all the copycatting, like, it's like, dang, they're really ushering in a whole movement of like following and copycatting and making it cool and making it right. No, there's
That
no thinkers, there's no leaders.
think that kind of shit is fucking manipulated and has been fucking thought about at a long fucking rate to do because now you have a society that sees a dance and they all do the dance or like I send you those funny things. I think they're funny because we grew up in the 90s. So that shit
Oh,
resonates with me.
sitcoms.
Those
Yeah.
little comedy shows and like the wah, 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 like and they're reenacting all these things that we were watching growing up. But the one thing I've told you in podcasts past, like sessions past, was I run into a lot of adults who don't know how to have conflict resolution, and they're not teaching their kids how to have conflict resolution with their mouths and with their brains. Like
Yeah.
they're either resulting into physical altercations or just shooting.
Yeah, and you remember when TikTok came out too, all the cool trend was like copying what people said verbatim. Like
Hmm?
that was the thing
I
that
hate
people
that
got
shit.
popular
I hate
for.
that. I hate
Like
that.
it was blowing my mind, but it's just showing me that the thing is we don't have leaders. We don't have people who know what their purpose is, and they're just out here following influencers. So I think that's what's happening. Like I'm just figuring this out as hearing you talk and just
Mhm.
kind of, putting things together because we're losing like our purpose. And I think that's the problem.
Well, I'm rooted in purpose, and I think you are as well. I think that being with you the last few months, like you give me encouragement to be more outspoken about things that I do believe in, right? And like that's an influential person. That's the kind of influential person I want in my life. Like that's who I'm following. I followed you for years, obviously, because we've been friends for years, but like I've always viewed you in that light. Like, damn, she speaks her mind and she whatever she likes, she posts. I'm all for it. Like I'm like, damn, more power to you. Like I was always afraid to do this. I mean, and these are things that have gone in the last 10, 12 years of my life that
Yeah.
I've dealt with, right? With failed marriage, failed relationships, whatever it may be. Like all of these things are a microcosm of kind of where your head's at or what you're trying to achieve. And like early on, like especially with my business and things like that, I was trying to achieve a level of acceptance, but I was being like in a level of acceptance from who? Like when I look back at that, and I did a lot of therapy about it, it was like, who the
Mm,
fuck was I trying to be accepted by? Like, I'm just me. Like,
right.
and now I'm unapologetically me. This
Mm,
is what you get. If you want your kid to get better, they're gonna be here. Like, whatever I feel about the world on this side of it, like I'm never going to really try to blur those lines with your child. I'm just gonna hopefully try to get your child to start thinking for themselves, critically thinking for themselves in a proper manner. Like I'm
yeah.
never influence a kid to do something he doesn't need to do, but I'm going to influence him or her, because we have a girl now, which I love,
Aw.
but it's like I want them to learn how to be free fucking thinking, like collaborative.
Dude, group think. That's the problem too. Group think. Like they're making us just all have the same thoughts. And one thing that you say, like I really appreciate all those things that you say, but like I think the problem with it too is that there's no popularity or there's no it feels like what I do, a lot of people don't pay attention and they're not interested because I don't get the engagement. But then you'll get like other people who are doing the influencer surface stuff and they're extremely popular, you know? So I just don't
And I've
think,
looked at that too, Stace, and like I have a lot of different levels of podcasts that I listen to, right? I have my three ones for baseball. I've got Justin Sua, who's phenomenal mental coach and digging deep. And when CC Sabathia had his, and now a couple guys have some new ones that I really like. And then I have my church ones through Midtown. They have their weekly podcast with Pastor Bob or Pastor Efren and Miss Armstead. And I listen to those. And then I definitely, pay attention to Elliot Wilson and Joe Budden and those kind of Mally and Ma, or Rory and Mal, those kind of guys. And it's like the one thing I do know is that they're always saying something hot topicy, right? Like there's always some sort of hot topic buzzword that's going to get everybody engagement, that's going to make everybody feel some type of way to have a say so within it. And I don't really like those particular podcasts. Like I like podcasts of people that are storytelling, that are going off of previous experiences or what they're trying to accomplish, or here's their path to where they were trying to go, here's their hiccups, here's what they did. And again, I think it's just because I'm a baseball player, like we are more predecessant on learning from one another through each other's failures, right? And that's just what we do. Like you tell war stories about the things that you sucked at or were good at. And when you are finally put in those positions, then you hopefully you make the right decision.
yeah, the fail up type of situations, people that are ambitious, they look at the past experiences of others and their failures to improve upon. So, but I don't know. Just people don't want this. I don't think they want this, and that's what we're suffering from right now. Like the
Yeah,
lack of the incompetence that is just plaguing. It's like a pandemic. There's incompetence everywhere.
but that's
Every-
been since the pandemic, right? And I think the pandemic, because the world came to a screeching halt and it disenfranchised a lot of people and a lot of people's worths and a lot of people's jobs and a lot of people's goals. Like a lot of things were on hold, right? Like there's a lot of kids that had life kind of taken from them. And
Yeah.
that's scary
I
about.
mean, millions of people died. Like I
Yeah.
mean, we never, our country
We don't
never
even talk
addressed
about
it.
that though.
They
We
never
don't even
addressed
talk
it.
about that stuff.
Yeah.
We never get that stuff addressed, and that's the sad part.
So how are people supposed to heal? Like people are just out here because there's a lot of people who, they're saying it's, lots of mental illness, lots of suicides in young people, old people. Like what we went through was pretty life-changing. That only happens like so far, not every 100 years
Yeah,
maybe.
but we've lived through so many catastrophic events. What the fuck? Like, I mean,
Right, right.
it's
So
like I go back to when I text you about Trump potentially being assassinated. I was like, what was the first thing I said? I said, this shit feels fucking staged as shit.
oh yeah. And everybody felt that way.
Yeah, but it's just like it's random. Like the most random situation. And again, glad he's not dead because I'm not that type of person, to wish ill will on anybody. But
Yeah.
like, fuck, at what point, like,
And
when
it
is Israel gonna ever come back?
I don't think it will. I don't know. I don't know. There has to be a major culture shock for things to get back on track. But even the Secret Service, the hearing that happened yesterday or on Monday,
Resigned, right?
what'd you say?
She resigned, right?
Yeah, she resigned, but she also didn't give any information. Like both sides, Republicans and Democrats, were going off on her, and she was withholding information. She wouldn't say anything. And she just kept saying she's waiting for the FBI to complete their investigation and all this stuff. But she was not helpful. So that's why a lot of people are like, having all these theories because we're not getting real information. Nobody's being transparent. And so you're leaving people to their
These are the fucking people he brought into play. No,
what?
these are the people 45 brought into play, right?
Well, the Secret Service, I believe, was appointed by Biden. This I don't know if the current one or by the president. And I don't know who appointed her. I should have looked into that, sorry. But I know that Biden is about to appoint a new Secret Service director. So it is left up to the president. Um, but so and then the crazy part too is she was really just denying everything. And they were like, you had 9 days. Like we asked you for this, this, and this, and you have not provided it. And so she's really not, they call it stonewalling. She's not giving up any information. And I don't know why. And it for me, after watching it, I don't know. Like, I feel like the Republicans really don't know what happened. The Democrats definitely don't know what happened. Um, but it was a security failure. That's what she's saying.
Should never be a security failure with the most secure people in the world.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they probably, why was that rooftop left open? Like, that's what everybody wants to know.
Not even saying the rooftop now, they're saying the water tower.
Well, yeah, that too. But they would have saw somebody climbing up a water tower. You know what I mean? And there was no overwatch. That's what they call it. There was no like drones or anything surveilling the area. So it's just, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Like, and we don't, who knows if we'll even get an answer to that at this point.
Because like look at how dead it's become already of a news story.
Yeah, like they're definitely covering up something. I don't know if and then they're, trying to introduce like Iran had a threat on Trump's life that was pretty severe. Who knows? Like they're just throwing out new information that's confusing people. And that she had the nerve to say that she would have a report for Congress in 60 days. Like, how could you tell somebody that? Like, that's crazy. It does not take 60 days. Come on. Are you serious? So basically, they're just whoever FBI, Secret Service, law enforcement, they're trying to get, their ducks in a row for whatever
I
reason.
encourage, I'll say this because I know this is kind of like off topic, but I also do very highly encourage our viewership to go watch J. Edgar. Go watch that movie with Leo. Go watch that shit. And watch it with a very keen understanding of what that entity of government has been.
He was the FBI leader, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, the FBI, they're supposed to be an independent source, but they also have their own motives. And I think a lot of it too could be trying to, okay, if Secret Service is known to be zero failure, they're supposed to be our top tier
So
security, and they got infiltrated for however they got infiltrated, or
boom,
people.
5 days later, the whole entire fucking cyber force fucking shuts down. Like these things aren't just random.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like they have to, they're incompetent. Like if that's what it comes down to, incompetence.
How the fuck are you incompetent on one of the most highly skilled job titles that you could ever hold in the face of the world? That's
Yeah,
just
but okay, if I definitely at this point don't think Trump staged it. It could have been somebody else. But if it was like a higher up type of person, like I feel like they would have got a better shooter. Unless they were just trying to send him a message. That could be it too. Like whoever doesn't want Trump in this. Because there's a lot of money involved.
I can't get over the photo op. Like that's the part that kills me. It's like I know if I'm being shot at, I'm out.
But Trump and them are dummies. Like they're literally like dum-dums. So if he did it, they'll be caught for it. Let's just say that. I put my money on
Out,
that.
I guess. It's just hard because it's like you're giving me a timeline of 60 days and it's such a news story that should have been something that is hammered right away, right? And if you're in a hearing with people like of prominence, and I know that both
AOC was in there. Marjorie Taylor Greene was on there. Senator Raskin,
members,
Jasmine, like all the people who go hard were on that committee, and they couldn't get anything out of this lady. So, but she wasn't going to resign. That's the other thing. She was not going to resign, and she said that throughout the hearing. But at the end or afterwards, she ended up resigning. So I don't know. I mean, you could look at it that
I
way
might have to
too.
get out of coaching and get back into PR. These public relations people are fucking terrible, Stace. Terrible. Like the PR people that I'm seeing, like, and how they handle mass convoluted situational pieces, it's bad. Like this is like you could almost do a master class on what not the fuck to do
And this is
with
it.
all these people just in the last 3 months.
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes incompetence is not as exciting as like the lie that people or the conspiracies that are going around. Like they could have just been incompetent, dude.
So bad.
But there is a
But
lot of questions. There's a
yeah,
lot of questions.
there's a shit ton of questions, right?
Like, and it's like, why? Like, it's I don't know. It's too much to be a coincidence. Too many coincidences for it to not be real. Like
Shit.
some type of setup, you know.
Oh yeah, it's a setup. I think we're all being set up.
But we don't. I will say that we don't know by who though.
Oh, I know, but I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist on this bitch. We'll
Well,
talk.
so what are people saying? Since you're like tapped into that world, like
I'm
they're
tapped
saying that
in.
Trump did this. They're saying that's what they're saying.
Now there's like three different heads to it. There's the one that I've seen that made a lot of sense was whoever was behind it is also behind now that Biden has dropped out because he dropped out at a certain point where all of her monies that she's received, like none of it has to be traced. So they don't have to put an accounting on how she's, manufactured this type of fundraising for her campaign. So they feel like she's gotten all this money, and this is coming from the right, a lot of far right people, that she's now got this money from whoever was trying to take Trump out, right? Because it's untraceable. Like they can't physically ask for it. That's why all these dudes, these politicians were trying to sue, right? That's why they were coming out that day, like, oh, we're going to sue. It's like, well, all you fuckers sue, and all you guys just want to be in court and legislation all the fucking time. I don't know what to
Right.
say.
Yeah, just to
But,
confuse the headlines, and they're
yeah,
trying to impeach
but
her.
I also do know that there are the elites of the elites that run this world, and so it's a part of their gameplay. I don't know how
But real quick,
they're trying to be or not, but yeah.
the what? What did
I
you say?
don't know how tactful they're trying to be or what kind of chess piece move they are trying to make. I just feel, this is just me, that there's something's fishy.
Right.
So
But
we'll
really,
figure.
to address the donations that she just got, which were record breaking for any president in the world or in our history. Anyways, those were all small dollar donations. Like I actually gave. I don't normally give to campaigns, but I was inspired to give. So they can trace that. And then the
Well, they
money.
can, but they're not. It's what's how they put it was.
Right, but that's coming from the right. I don't believe
I get
anything.
it. I'm just telling you what has
Oh,
been
no,
said.
no, yeah. No, but I'm telling you, like it's traceable. They can trace every dollar of that. But then the money that Biden had was transferred to
To
her
her.
because
Yeah.
she is on the ticket.
Mhm.
So that's legal. There's like, from what I understand, there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, wherever that money came from, I don't
That's
know.
why it was interesting that it was her, right? Like, and again, she's still waiting on endorsements from several prominent people, including Barack and things like that.
And
But
she's
like,
not the nominee yet, to be,
no,
to
no,
be
she's got to
clear.
go to the thing and they have to nominate it. But
August 7th.
I think the biggest thing is just knowing Gavin's not doing it. He was on that podcast I sent you with Marshawn Lynch, and
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna be crazy.
so I just think it's something's fishy, something's going to happen, and then more current state of events going, kind of switching gears is Mr. Diddy, 77 pages of indictments from Keefe D and these people in the courts, in
Okay,
Vegas.
so I didn't really, I want to hear more about this, but I kind of looked into it. And so basically what they're saying is
Oh,
Diddy, huh?
yeah, it was $1 million bounty that he had put on Pac's head, is what the 77 mentions of him in these court documents.
So he allegedly, Diddy gave the money to this one guy who was, they laundered the money through Bad Boy Blackground Records, and then that money went into, but that money never got to Keefe D, right? Is that what Keefe D is saying?
I Yeah, I think the money never got there, but the hit still was happening.
Hmm.
So
And the
you
guy who got the,
I
wait,
mean, just yeah, go ahead.
the guy who got the money, he died
Hmm.
from cancer. So it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, but then the shooter's dead too. So, but these are the two that are alive. So I mean, again,
how
uh,
credible was this Keefe D guy though?
he's a mess, but he also confessed to this, because the statute of limitations and things like that. He's already, you know,
Out in clearance.
out there that
But he's
said
arrested though, right? Or what?
yeah, he's in custody. He was just in jail yesterday. It was the clip that I sent you yesterday. That was yesterday in court, where he just
What
went
did they
phone.
finally pick him up on? Do you know?
A violation of his parole. The guy that was sitting out in front of his house was waiting for it.
Hmm.
Ended up getting him on a violation of his parole.
Interesting. I mean, look, how long ago was that? What was that? 96?
96. Which
So what are we, 2024? So that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of this stuff, it takes forever to come out,
years. It's crazy.
you know? So
That's
it's like,
crazy, right?
I think everybody, we should just breathe and relax and not get anxiety from consuming all this craziness. Because at this point, just how we're able to get information so quickly, we're going to get hit over the head with like crazy headline after crazy headline after crazy
Yeah,
headline.
that's why you just have to kind of do your homework, like I said at the beginning. Like you have to pick and choose where you want to get your information from, right? It's important. It's really important. But
Yeah.
that's what I'll
I say
do.
get from all of it though. Go get all information from
I've
every
done that
angle.
more. Like I told you, like I've been listening and reading and trying to get insight from other sides and other viewpoints. I just my morality clause kind of pops in and it's like, okay, I don't like any of it, but I know I need to be versed on it, right? I need to understand it to a certain level. Um, yeah, it's been sucky.
Yeah. And one thing I did want to mention when you were talking about how you approach umpires in baseball and just being kind. Um,
Trying to be.
yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, at least trying and working towards that. They're probably not used to that because,
No,
other
no,
men probably go hard on them like immediately and it's like,
sure. And I'm the first one to admit, like, I'm a fucking asshole when it comes to that type of stuff, you
but
know.
I've noticed that's a lot of coaches. Like when it's competitive ball and it's a little bit more high stakes. I mean, you guys kind of I feel that people put that responsibility on you.
Yeah, you have to be an alpha. I can't be a beta. I can't be some fucking lowly coach that doesn't stick up for my players or just the sanctity of the game. Like
Right.
for me, like,
Especially when you know what the rules are.
yeah, and I coach in a different capacity because I have a different love for what I do, right? Like I really truly believe that God has granted me the serenity and the grace to actually be a mentor, a teacher, a curator of talent, of players, and things like that. So there are a lot of things that I always have to be very mindful of. how I speak to them and how honest I have to be. No sugarcoating goes on with what I'm saying because again, they're going to go somewhere else and it's not going to be sugarcoated. If they've never had the real, then they're going to fail.
Right.
And that failure at these higher levels becomes very detrimental, right? And it all very boils down into the same stuff. It's like, okay, I'm teaching a kid to have good morality, good choice and decision making with what they're doing with their time and their accountability of their resources, right? And we're
But no
still seeing
leaders are
that
getting that. They think they
exactly
know it
we're
all.
seeing people that are afraid of boiling water shoot a woman in her own home.
Yeah.
So those
But
are that's what we're up against.
right. And like you're able to articulate to these umpires, and a lot of
Right.
people, yeah, and a lot of people don't, they just come with anger, which is a terrible emotion in those kind of situations. But if you're able to, articulate your viewpoint in a professional manner, like that's the thing, like there's no professionalism. Like people got to be professional.
Well, see, like there's professionals and there's amateurs. I'm a professional at what I do. I'm a professional in my endeavor as being a coach, but I'm also a professional communicator, writer, publicator of different things. I have an app, I have a website. There are things that I curate that on a professional level, I maintain a level of professionalism at all
Yeah.
times.
And that's
When
why Yeah, and that's why people like this, you guys are gonna shine. Like I'm trying to give you a game, some game
it,
right here. Like cream rises to the top, and that makes so much more sense now than in the past because like the level of excellence is out the window. So like if you just show up and do your best and put in effort, you're gonna shine well above anyone.
I think if you see it, right, like if you just, even in the last like 4 months that we've been doing this together, right, like if you can see my day to day is very consistent. Well, that's on purpose. Like I want you to know that that's a level of consistency you can't fuck with me on. So if you're inconsistent, like I can't really fuck with you on that part of it because I do my job every day. I get up, I pray, I do my devotional, I get my drink of water, I take Enzo for a walk, I go to the gym. Those are the things that I do
Yeah.
before my days even got going. That's I've already done what most people struggle to even comprehend to do, right? And so it's like I know I have a leg up on my competitors or people that are around me. It's not a sense of, oh, I'm better than you. It's just I have a sense of worth that I need to accomplish these particular things every single day.
You know why? Because we're here to please God. We're not here to please man anymore. Like,
Yeah.
period. I'm not. I can't. I don't care.
And
Like,
that's a perfect eloquent way to end it, right? Is to say that like I am here to appease the man above, not even my own children. Like I love my children and I'm loving them to the best of my ability as they're grown men and adults now, young men that are in this world. But they also understand. Like I always say, God, family, school, work, right? School and work go together for career, professionalism, whatever it is, and then baseball, right? And so it's these three pillars that equal the fourth, but that fourth one could go away tomorrow and I'll still be fine. I'll be
mhm.
fine.
Right. Yeah,
Fine.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, and I think a lot of people have identity crises and don't know who they are and don't know what their purpose is and have to kind of continuously kind of talk themselves up to make themselves feel some type of worth or whatnot. But I was raised in love by a black man, a black woman, a stepfather who's black, and a stepmother who was white, and again, a plethora of family members who really taught us what was right and wrong, based on their behaviors, based on their words, and also based on their actions,
Mhm.
right? Like, so when you're a kid and you're observing and being very observant and diligent on that observation, you understand who, as an adult, I'm going to really fuck with in my family and who I really don't fuck with in my family. And it goes hand in hand with just your relationships with your friends. Like me being the oldest sibling in my family, like I have people in my life like Tony or Charles or some of my coworkers that work with me in my organization that are like older brothers that I never had. But that's kind of where they're like Cameron, like those are Leo, those are my older brothers or just my brothers. Even though we're not blood related, these are my dudes. These are my guys that I do. I will pick up the phone and call Cam or Charles a lot faster than I would some family members. And that's just the reality of it. But that's based on observation, that's based on preference, that's based on what I've already been through. And I think a lot of people, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people don't know how to be professionals because a lot of people are followers.
Yeah,
They've
that's where
been
we are. That's our problem at this point in life. But one thing I just wanted to say why I brought that up about you approaching that umpire, after you chose the route of being kind to him, didn't you just feel better than like going off and then it worked
um,
out? And then it worked out,
I would say when it works out properly, even if the call doesn't get made properly, right? Even if the call doesn't go my way per se, I do feel a little bit better now, right? In my current space over the last 3 or 4 years now, I feel a lot better about not dealing with that. Like not having the stigma of did I have the fucking nuclear meltdown like I used to? Yeah. And that's growth, right? That's growth in your profession. That's being very mindful of who you are and what you're capable of doing and kind of the role. Like my players will miss me more not being there to manage and strategically help them win a game than it is if I leave that game based on my emotional standpoint.
oh, like if you get kicked out or something.
Yeah, if that makes sense, right? Like if that is a part of what we're trying to accomplish, right? As a whole, as a nation, that's what it is.
Hmm.
So I love it. And I love you. There's a
Yep.
lot to unpack. I think the
Yeah.
next couple of weeks, I mean, really, I mean, I know that this was never set out to be a political thing, but just the state of everything. I mean, we'll try to keep everybody informed on some stuff. And I just think the last 3 weeks have just been such a fucking melting pot of just now, 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 now. And we'll just keep getting this,
Yeah.
like,
They made politics mainstream
for
with,
sure.
and I think it's because we have the entertainer in chief, Trump,
Yeah. Fuck him.
who's been ruling the media outlets for what, 2016? So 8 years.
Shit, more than that.
So,
Yeah, The Apprentice, girl. Come on.
oh yeah, exactly. And even before that, so our society is very celebrity. We've talked about this, very celebrity oriented. So now that we have him as a politician, it's made politics mainstream.
Fuck yeah.
So it's kind of, but then there's a lot of people who aren't into that. Like especially if you live in LA, you're in a whole different world. You don't really pay attention to this stuff. You're out here partying, chilling, kicking it.
Former life. I
Yeah.
love you.
So cool. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys.